this is David for Big Bits, and in this video we're going to take a look at the Stochastic RSI. Now, in previous videos in this Indicators Explained series with TradingView, we have went over the stochastic calculation and also the RSI calculation. So now we are going to do the job of combining the two together and creating the Stochastic RSI. Now, this is an older calculation. It produces a lot of signals, and we'll go into detail a little bit more about that in just a moment. But you're going to be able to see this is the combination between the stochastic and the between the stochastic and the RSI, excuse me. So let's go back and let's take a look at some of the built-in scripts on TradingView. Let's add in the RSI. Actually, I need to search for relative strength index. And then let's add in the stochastic. We're not going to add in the stochastic RSI just yet because I want to show you what's going on. So first of all, what we'd like to do in these videos, we'd like to talk about the indicator we're discussing just a little bit, tell you exactly what it is, how it's kind of used, and how the calculation is come up with, because if you understand how the calculation works, you are much more prepared to understand why certain things are happening with the indicator and can help make you a little bit more prepared in what you're actually doing when you're looking at these things on the chart, or if you're trying to build a strategy off of them. So we're going to go ahead and get started here and take a look at the definition here. Go back up. I've highlighted some of the things on here. I'm not going to go in complete detail and read everything word for word, but you're going to recognize if you're looking at this, a lot of the stuff is what I'm saying anyway. So the first thing is this is another oscillating indicator between 0 to 100. This uses the RSI value instead of the price action to determine the stochastic value on the indicator. Now, while we're thinking about this, I'm going to go ahead and add the stochastic RSI to the chart so you can see that. Okay, it oscillates between 0 to 100, and you can see it looks pretty similar to the regular stochastic there. Now, this was developed to take advantage of both of the indicators. So you're wanting to take the benefits of the stochastic and the benefits of the RSI and combine them to make one indicator that's better than them by themselves. So what you're doing here, you're just taking the stochastic calculation that we used in the previous video, and then you're using the RSI calculation, which we covered in one of the earlier videos, and you are first calculating your RSI, and then you are calculating the stochastic based on the RSI, and I'll show you more about the calculation soon. Similar to the other oscillators, 80 is considered overbought and 20 is oversold, so once you get above or below those thresholds, it's the same as the other stochastic. The RSI, basically when your RSI stays high for a long period of time, that is what's going to signal that the stochastic is high. If it's low for a long period of time, it will show the stochastic RSI is low. We'll explain why in just a moment. And a little bit more in depth here, it says a reading of 0 means the RSI is at its lowest level in 14 points. And I'll explain again exactly why this is true in just a moment. But first, we need to look at the stochastic RSI formula. Now, the first thing you're actually going to have to do is you're going to have to calculate the RSI. So you go to the chart, you tell it what your RSI is, and we'll actually go ahead and do this. This is the code that TradingView has built in. We'll take a look at this in a little bit more detail in just a moment. I've got the zoom tool up so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to zoom back out. We'll hit add to chart, and then we'll go to our settings for the stochastic RSI, and you can actually see you can change the RSI length. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to calculate the RSI. Once you have the RSI, then you need to be able to look for the minimum and maximum values of that RSI over the last 14 periods. Now, 14 is what it uses by default. This is the stochastic period. So when you're looking at this indicator on TradingView, the stochastic length of 14 is how far back you're looking for the minimum and maximum RSI value on the chart. So when we go to calculate the stochastic, we're going to start here at the current value and go back 14 candles, and we're going to get the minimum stochastic value, which could very well be here. Let me zoom in. We could get the minimum stochastic value, which very well could be in this range, and the maximum, which could be here or here. So as you can see, within this range, we are actually kind of close to the top. So the stochastic RSI should be really high because it's high within the range of the last 14 values of the RSI. So hopefully this is all starting to make a little bit more sense. And honestly, that's just how the stochastic calculation works. You take the current RSI subtracted by the minimum. Anyway, you don't really need to know all that stuff. The key takeaway is that the way the math works is where the RSI is now relative to where it was in the trend over the last however many stochastic periods that you have is where it's going to be on the stochastic scale. So this is for the fast K value. So let's go ahead and turn this down to 1. And this is the actual stochastic value instead of the slowest stochastic value, excuse me. So you can tell that starting from right here, our maximum RSI is obviously not the current one because our blue line, which is the K, is not up to 100. Because if we were currently at the maximum value over the last 14 candles, the stochastic RSI would be at 100 with a K length of 1. And you can actually see that here when the blue line was reaching 100, that it was at its maximum value over the last 14 candles. So you can see right here, there wasn't any RSI greater than that over the last 14. So the stochastic RSI fast K was 100. And of course, we are very close to the top now, so it's very close to 100. So hopefully this is all starting to make a lot more sense as to how it's actually done. I'll go in detail a little bit more about how the calculation is actually done on TradingView and Pine in just a moment, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the calculation. Now, one of the things that you should know is that this one was developed by Chand and Kroll. These two are known for creating many indicators. They actually have one named after themselves, so that was something that stuck out to me. This is pretty popular. One of the things you do need to know is that of course, we've already talked about this. RSI is the derivative price, and stochastic is basically momentum. So you're taking the momentum of the price action when you're doing this, and this also means that you're working with really fast changes. So you actually get more signals on the stochastic RSI than you would on the regular stochastic. So let's go back to the chart, and I can actually kind of demonstrate this to you. Let's go ahead and compare. Let's hide the Pine editor here. The stochastic to the stochastic RSI. You can see the stochastic RSI moves up and down a little bit more quickly. This isn't probably the best example. They seem to be pretty well in line, but they can oftentimes get out of sync and one can move quicker than the other. Let's take a look at the daily chart. This might be a little bit better. Okay, so you can see down here the stochastic RSI went down much quicker in this case than the stochastic, and it stayed lower for much longer, and it shot up quicker than the stochastic. So that's something you have to keep in mind when you're using this. And if you take a look here, the stochastic RSI went above the overbought levels where it didn't even touch those with the stochastic. So it moves quicker, it's more sensitive, you get more signals because of it. So that's kind of what I was trying to show you just a moment ago. Let me pull this back onto our screen so that we can see everything. And let me move some stuff around over here. Okay, so now you should hopefully understand the relevance of the RSI and the stochastic when it comes to the stochastic RSI. So really all that's left is how can you trade with that, and if you're interested, we're going to look at the code in Pine later, but how can you trade this? Well, this particular site, and we took the information from Investopedia about the indicator itself, but this one has some ideas on how you can use it to trade, and one of the ways that I use it is the way that they reference here, and that is a percentage D divergence. Now, and you're looking at the stochastic RSI. The stochastic RSI really is the blue line with a 1 period. So they actually take that and they smooth the fast stochastic RSI down to a 3. They call that the slow stochastic. Then you slow that down, smooth it even more with another 3 period, and that is your D line. So what you're going to be looking for if you're looking for signals according to this site is you're going to look for a divergence. So you're going to look for either the price to be moving up and the indicator to be moving down, or vice versa depending on which direction you're looking for. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this is going to work, because there was a divergence recently here on the chart. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of our RSI and our stochastic so we can actually see what's going on a little bit better. Here on the chart, you can see that the price dipped down quickly here. and the stochastic RSI flatlined at 0, which means it was averaging 0 for many candles in a row. And then the price continued to go down, but the stochastic RSI never came all the way back down. This is due to a divergence. That means that the price continued to go down while the indicator value itself, the D, the orange line here, peaked at a higher low, and this would be what's considered a bullish divergence, and oftentimes you can expect for a trend change here, at least momentarily, in the price action at that time. Now, the other thing that they do make clear is that if you are going to be trading divergences, that you need to stick to the current trend. Now, this is very important because a lot of times divergences could just be the end of like a first wave of a dump or a pump when you're looking at price action. So you can find a divergence, price can bounce relatively small amounts and then continue moving in the opposite direction that you traded when you found the divergence. So they recommend that. I am not giving you financial advice. That's very important that you understand that this is just how they recommend to do these things. And we're just kind of showing you how the code works and how to spot the divergences here on the chart. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the Pine code for this on TradingView, and you can see how this is actually done on TradingView itself. We have all the information up here for our inputs. These are just our settings. First thing we do is we calculate our RSI. That was the first thing I told you that we would have to do when we were looking at the calculation earlier. And then there is a built-in function. Well, I should say there's actually a built-in function for the RSI. If you don't know how to use Pine, I have a tutorial series here on TradingView. Please check that out. It's made specifically for beginners with coding so that you can kind of learn how to code and create your own indicators and strategies at the same time. But it has a built-in function for RSI. We tell it what information to use. It calculates the RSI. Then we use their built-in stochastic function to calculate the stochastic value of the RSI by telling it to use the RSI and our stochastic length that we had, and then we also have it smooth that out to the slow K value of 3 with the SMA. So then we do that again to calculate our D value, and then we just kind of plot those on the chart and make it look nice. So that's pretty much all there is. If you want to play around with the stochastic RSI on TradingView, of course you can find it as a built-in indicator if you go to search for it. But if you're working with the Pine editor and you want to play around with the code, you can actually go to New, and it will give you this code exactly as it is if you choose it as your template. So you can choose stochastic RSI. Let's leave that. Okay, so it reloaded this here with the template code that you can work with. So that's going to do it for this particular video. I hope you liked the video and you might have learned something. If you did like the video, or if you're feeling nice, go down and like the video. You've watched the video this long. Hopefully you liked it. So please go ahead while you're down there and subscribe as well. That's going to help a lot. We're going to do more of these videos where we talk about indicators, their calculations, and other trading related information, as well as these sort of Pine tutorials that I've been doing and TradingView updates as well. But that's going to be it for this particular video. Thanks and have a great day, everyone.